the willingness to be able to accept what is a big, significant leap in this world. Nothing really happens in a linear fashion. There's usually always ups and downs and rounds and rounds. Some things can feel like they're looping because sometimes they are. Things are more like a spiral. And you see, when something happens here on the spiral, it can still be seen on a different axis. What this means is it's kind of an expanded thought of the cause and effect, in the way that something happens over here and then an effect will come here. And this, how we be able to collapse this is to understand that we are able to access everything at all times. It's not an isolated event. So this helps us understand that we are all experiencing things together all at once. And it gets a little bit confusing, but the main purpose of explaining this is that knowing nothing will last forever, but it also will last forever, in the way that you're able to shift how you think about it and how you react to it and how you attach to it. So if it's always going to be in your field forever, you can actually shift it. And you can shift it to, let's say up here, a different timeline. You can shift it to a different place on the axis. So it's no longer front and foremost. So this is like the present moment. This is actually all that is right now. And everything else kind of happens on these like different axes. It can go in many different ways, right? We usually think past, present, future, but it actually happens in this spiral. So using this helps us expand even beyond our current thought and processes, because if we understand that things are happening in this fashion rather than, oh my gosh, I have to cling on to it here in this solidified state, we can just shift it in this axis, in this spiral. If we move it, we can even shake it out and make it become less significant than what we think it is. Because where we focus our attention on is where it goes, right? So if something happens in the past, but you're bringing it to the present moment, it's going to show up in many different areas on these axes. So it's going to show up in your past, your present, your future, like all of these different timelines. If you are able to detach yourself from the way that you were thinking about it before, it will shift, because it's no longer so present in the present. Because what should be present in the present? The now, not the has been, not the will be. And this is how we get trapped in what feels this perpetuating cycle, because if you're stuck into what happened in the past, it's going to show up everywhere on your timeline. And that's why it feels like you can't escape it, because you're unable to release it from your field. And everyone has this kind of field where you're able to access all your memories, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your understanding of the world as it is. But that's the thing, think about it, as it is to you, as it is to you with this attachment. And it's not just a single event, right? This can be anything that's happened to you, any traumas, anything good, bad, all in quotation marks, right? Because this is what is in our view. The only way to shift it is to detach from it. And this can be challenging because it's been this kind of mechanism that protects us. It feels very protective. It's like, I know what happened to me and I'm never going to let it happen again, and yada, 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 which sounds very like boundaries. This is not how we should use boundaries because it's actually building a wall. And if you build a wall, instead of breaking the barrier, you're enforcing the barrier. So you're enforcing it to be there for you to not be able to access it. So this will always still show up, because what is kind of not dealt with will always flow into the spiral. And you don't have to always significantly deal with it. But if you're still attached to it in a way that's not going to be significant for your growth, this spiral is supposed to be like a spiral of growth, and it winds up and you become more connected with you at the top, right? This is like the whole field, but you understand more and more and more, and you become more connected. But if you're unable to detach, thinking their boundaries under this guise of putting things in place that you think, it basically protects this. hopefully this image helps you understand, like, this helps you protect this, which it sounds kind of counterintuitive because what we're trying to do is protect ourselves, but we need to protect the present us. And is the present us really affected by this? It can be if we keep it in our view, in our consciousness, in our decisions, in our actions, in our motives, and our movements. But if we disconnect from it, we're free. We're free again. We're free. And this is true boundaries, is releasing the things that don't actually connect to the true you in the present moment. Because if you're struggling with, say, depression or anxiety, you're not really fully in what is right now. It's other things that are affecting you. And of course, there's always going to be other things around us, but can we really connect to this true us? And this is what our soul wants, because this is how we are actually able to experience things in life. Because if we're so connected to what has been, what will be, how will we ever experience what actually is right now for us? And this makes it challenging in life because it gets, like, as a person, you can be trapped in this field that is not conducive to your learning, your growth, and your experience. Like, we want to be enjoying this thing. And it feels like we can't because we're trapped. We're trapped on this timeline that isn't expansive and growing. So just connect to it. If you notice something from your past or something from the future that's giving you issues, unable to fully enjoy the now. And of course, there's always going to be things in life, right? Like, we have bills to pay, we have mouths to feed, we have family stuff, we have all these things. But what our soul truly wants is us to be able to understand, yes, these things happen, but not get so bogged down in it. Don't get so bogged down in it, and don't just be attached too much to what has happened and what will happen. Because how can you enjoy the now? And this is, and there's many teachings about this, about the present moment, the power of now, all of this, but it's all similar to saying this, because there's just so much here if we're just in it, rather than being affected by these things, because it's making our timeline very strange, and it's making it feel suffocating and trapped because we're unable to see anything except for this. We're only going this way. And look at how expansive it is. We go in, out, we go all these different directions if we're in the now. But if we're trapped on this, it feels suffocating and hard and challenging because it's just like a one track. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? And if you're unaware, of course you're unaware, right? But this is boring. And not conducive to your whole capacity. And overall, I just want you to experience this fullness of life, of being you, instead of all of these worries. So don't put up these barriers and walls. Easier said than done. But just try it when you're feeling down, or if you're feeling very scared or worried or confused. Just try and let go of it. Maybe you do need to do some deeper work and connect with it and feel it in your body, because a lot of this disconnection or non-understanding is that you haven't truly processed what has happened and you haven't felt it in your body. So just spend time connecting with it and understanding what happened and how it's made you feel, because when we don't do that, we get very disconnected, but we're still attached to it. It's still like this tether pulling us down. We don't want to be pulled down. We want to be free and expansive and going in all these different directions. And it sounds confusing, but all the different directions just means that you're more connected to this, the now, rather than having these things affect you so much. You can be aware of them, of course, but don't let it be something that's your center of gravity, because there's so much more for you.